This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo, and hello, South Africa. It's a very warm welcome to our drive. We are coming to you live from the Mara Triangle of Kenya. My name is David, and this is Safari Live.
This is so exciting. We've managed to find the sausage tree pride.
Look at this last dash.
This is amazing. Look at that incredible strength.
20 seconds.
Here come the cheetah. Unbelievable stuff. I'm just keeping my head on a swivel. You never know what's going to happen next in these situations.
Standing by.
Can you believe this?
Three, two, one. Live.
Good evening, and can you believe it? It is the season finale of the second season of Safari Live, and I am sitting just meters away from one of our absolute favorite leopards. My name is Jamie, and behind the camera is Sebastian, and we are going to take you on a live safari from two spectacular but different locations here in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa, as well as up in the Masai Mara of Kenya. And sleeping, as I said, just a couple of meters away from my feet is Husana, who has earned his rest, and I'll tell you why and a little bit more about that in just a few moments. But first, before we get on to reminiscing, a quick look at what happened last week.
Last week on Safari Live, Pat sat with a snoozy evoker male, the lion immobile from a recent buffalo lunch. We watched horrified as one of nature's great tragedies unfolded. Meanwhile, in the Mara, I reacquainted us with the North Clan and their cub-filled den. We met Ilovo and Grenadine, yearlings of the recently deposed matriarch Waffles. While Taylor focused on the marvel and terror of a Mara River crossing. This is Safari Live.
And that was actually 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry about that. Apparently, time passes in the blink of an eye out here. I simply cannot believe that 13 episodes have flown by. Now, remember, this is a live and interactive safari, so while you're watching this leopard in black and white using infrared light, you can think of questions that you'd like to send us, and you can do that using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Perhaps your first question might be, well, why is this leopard so sleepy? Well, just a few short minutes ago, Husana was up to his usual tricks in performing, and he decided that he was going to try and score an easy meal. He's sneaking up on them. Husana has just arrived on the scene. What amazing timing. He's going to come right behind our vehicle. I promise you I'll show you this leopard in a moment. The wild dogs have got no idea. There he goes, there he goes. And there go my wild dogs. Thank you very much, Husana. Our little chief has certainly learned the finer points of survival out here in the wilderness. At the beginning of season 2, we didn't think that we were necessarily going to see him again, as his adolescent hormones took him off on a trip down south. But he returned to us, and he is ever more growing into the role that he will eventually inherit as a massive territorial male. He's still got a few months to go, though, which means the odd snooze every now and again, because he doesn't have quite the same level of responsibility. Now, as Husana dreams possibly about dinner, he doesn't know what he's missing out on in the Masai Mara, but it's something that Taylor got to experience last year.
welcome back to your weekly River Watch here on the banks of the Mara River. The migration is underway and they're starting to gather. This is absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait for the wildebeest to decide to take the plunge into the murderous Mara River. They've got steep banks, fast-flowing water, and it's deep. Now this is going to be very, very exciting as the wildebeest cross in their thousands. I haven't seen any zebra or any other animals, just a big pod of hippos trying to keep out of the way. Now, as more and more wildebeest start to cross down here, it's going to be quite difficult for them, for the hippos that is, because those wildebeest are going to encroach in their territory, and I don't think that they're going to like that one bit, so we're going to keep an eye out for any interesting behavior that may occur over there. But they're still running down. Now, what's going to happen is, you can see, we're going to get into a bit of a traffic jam now, where the thousands and thousands of wildebeest that are all pushing and shoving from behind, driving the front of the herd forward, they're going to have to start leaping off of other sections of the bank in order to alleviate some of that pressure. And that means that the favorable spots to cross are now taken. You can see, look how full those sort of two alleyways are. We might get some more wildebeest jumping off of the steep cliffs. Go, wildebeest, go! They're having an early morning swim. The zebra have already arrived. This is what we've been waiting for. Finally, the big herds of wildebeest are arriving.
Good evening, everybody. You've just seen the migration from last year with Taylor. The good news, as I promised you 3 weeks ago, I hoped very much that the migration would have arrived in the Mara Triangle by the time we finished our series, and thankfully last week's show was delayed, and now we can't actually see a great deal of them, but I'm just going to turn off and I'm going to let you listen. We are surrounded by thousands of wildebeest. Isn't that amazing? It's the most stunningly abundant exposition of nature you can imagine here. Now, what we're going to do for the duration of this show is patrol up and down this road, because there were some lions here earlier. They love to hunt these migration herds. Can be quite traumatic to see, but often they miss, and it's just amazing to be amongst this amount of life. I'm just going to turn the spotlight on and look around. We are, of course, in infrared, which means we are limited depending on how close we can get to things. Alright, David's just up the road. He is with the hyenas of the North Clan. We're going to see if we can find the lions and get in amongst these herds for a bit longer.
Welcome back to this other part of the Mara where we got hyenas. And James having loads of wildebeest. This is the time where most predators, including the hyenas you're watching here, enjoy every moment, because the lions will make so many kills, and of course after they do the kills, we'll get these hyenas scavenging on what is left behind. Now, this particular group of hyenas, and a group of hyenas we'll call a clan, is called the North Clan. And we are at the den. This is the main den of the North Clan, and you can see most of them are still taking it easy in the den, putting up their heads up once in a while just to listen what could be happening out there. And they got lots of cubs, some that you might hear squattering, or when they want to ask for milk from their mothers. I hope you can hear that. They go, and that's exactly when they're trying to access their. And that's correct, Rachel. This is just wonderful. And the Mara, with all what's happening there, and exactly as James said, we are in the great migration season now. Everything is just wonderful. So hyenas, leopards, cheetahs, wild dogs have bountiful of food to eat, as long as the migration is going to remain here. Now, this particular clan is led by a particular female, and her name is Waffles. We haven't seen her, and I'm saying we haven't seen her because I can identify her positively because she got a collar. Can you hear some hyenas? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you never know what happens. Do not go away because we'll be right back. Well, the North Clan are always magical. They'll always be doing something, and you'll never get bored watching these hyenas from their big aunties or their mothers to the cubs. And they usually come very close to the car, and they're never worried, you know. They're so used to us, which I would explain it as a very good situation.
Wacha tena zitoke. Bado.
Once again.
Let's do it.
Touch you. No, there's nothing as appealing, especially in this time of the evening, like to hear, you know, these hyenas making particular calls. Just like the comment we had earlier with Rachel when she said this a quite, you know, awesome sound that we hear from hyenas that we call squattering. So, ladies and gentlemen, should you, you know, send us questions and comments, you should always give us a lot of joy. And you can always do that using hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. Now, this is our episode 13 and the very final episode of season 2 of safariLIVEs on SABC3, and it is just getting better and better. We got 3 types of hyenas. Let me just keep quiet for a second. Can you hear them calling? Apart from the other name we give these hyenas, which is the laughing hyenas, they also do what we call squattering. And let's go look at a clip to learn more about that sound.
In every spotted hyena litter, one cub is dominant over the other. A high-ranking mother brings some rotting breakfast back to the den for 2 cubs. Siblings they may be, but share they would not. The larger, more dominant cub took the lot, leaving her sister with nothing. The deprivation resulted in this horrific begging whine called squittering. Hyenas suckle for up to a year, so the wretched cub, around 7 months old, sought her mother's milk, while the dominant sister devoured the meat. Mum showed little maternal patience, snapping at her whining daughter. The hungry, squittering little hyena could do nothing but watch in a furious tantrum as the breakfast carcass disappeared.
When hyenas are squittering, you'll never miss that sound, and I'm just hoping at one point during this drive we are going to hear them do that, because in this particular clan we got so many cubs. I'm just listening carefully to see whether we might be able to hear that sound. Earlier I was talking of Waffles, which is one of the hyenas that got a collar, who we call Waffles, who apparently was overthrown by her granddaughter Kotsup, who is currently in charge of this particular clan. Now, this clan got lots of cubs, but I think on the other side of the Mara, my friend James got other cubs.
We have found our lions, and they look, well, not like they're hunting. 3 of them are hunting. This is the Salt Lick Pride, and 3 of the littlest cubs, who I'd put at around about 8 weeks, are definitely hunting. They're hunting milk, though. They're not so interested in the migration herds. We've come about 500 or 600 meters to the north of where we were with the wildebeest, and you can see the lionesses here, the Salt Lick Pride, looking down towards where they can hear the bow, 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 bow of 1,000 dinners walking through the plains of the Masai Mara. Now, you will find lions at this time of the year are immensely overweight because they gorge themselves, and then a fairly sinister thing starts to happen. They start to kill the wildebeest almost as a game, and in, say, 3 or 4 weeks, this place will be littered with carcasses that are uneaten by lions. They'll be fed on by jackals and sometimes hyenas. They end up very much in the same state as the lions, but certainly all the vultures. So nothing will go to waste, but they are already getting to that stage. Richard, you're wondering about crossings and whether or not the wildebeest will cross the rivers at night. We don't think so. We are not 100% sure. We've certainly seen them do it at dusk, and we've certainly seen them do it during the course of the very early morning, so just before sunrise. We haven't seen them doing it in the dark, but that's probably for the simple reason that we're not at the river during the dark. So it's quite possible that they won't cross at night. I don't think they would, but it is possible that they do. They're very nervy at the crossings at the best of times, and if they were to come across a steep bank or a river that they knew was crocodile infested, I really just don't think that they would try and jump across the river. Lions calling now. We're with this whole pride here, and we'll see if they go hunting. While we wait and see if they get up and decide to make a dent on the migration, let's go back in time and back to another part of the Masai Mara where Brent Leo Smith was with a cheetah.
Look at that. Now, I wonder if she spotted that Thompson's gazelle. Maybe. It's quite far away still, but I have seen cheetahs start hunting from 500 to 600 meters away from their potential prey here in the Mara. The female cheetah is on the hunt. She's probably only about 60 meters away from a Thompson's gazelle, and she needs to probably get another 10 or 15 meters before she decides to go full speed. Look, there she goes. Thompson's gazelle, probably 40 meters. It's difficult to judge in the grass. Now, we're really lucky. This is a big open area. She's just gone flat. She's waiting for the gazelle to move closer to her. There she goes. This is very exciting. This is so exciting. Now, we don't know what could happen. As I said, there's a lot of hyenas in here. So, a hyena could easily come in and steal that. Look at the gazelle. The gazelle doesn't know she's there. The gazelle is facing the opposite direction to her. She's capable of speeds up to 105 to 110 kilometers an hour, but normally averaging around 90. It's the fastest land mammal in the world.
It's a tough life for a solitary cat, whether it's a cheetah or a leopard, and we're back live with the lovely Husana, who's just picked his head up to listen to something off in the distance. There's a herd of impala moving around not too far away from here, and I think that might be what's attracted his interest. But what he's really been up to has been curled up in a ball, because it's a chilly evening here in the Greater Kruger. Fortunately, the wind has dropped, because it was starting to feel a little bit as though we were on the Arctic tundra, but it has dropped a little bit. But for Husana, he's probably not too happy about that, because the wind would actually have helped in his hunting efforts for the evening. We have a question that's come through from Janet, who wants to know about whether or not he managed to get himself a solid meal or not. And the answer to that is he actually didn't get very much food at all. He barely got a scrap. And the reason why is that, first of all, the wild dogs managed to wolf down most of it, but the rest of it went to a hyena. Speaking of hyenas, Trishala is not too far away, so while we keep up with Husana as he moves off, we're going to send you across to Trish, who's keeping up with the hyenas.
I did. I was very lucky before the show actually started to be part of the rehearsal and actually say, hello there, hello hyena. I'm still not sure which individual this is, but it's not the one that stole the kill earlier, but definitely has the potential to steal a kill. Good evening, everybody. Hello, and how are you? My name is Trishala with Craig on camera this evening, and we're very excited to have you on board. And we are actually hoping that we can catch up with this hyena, but he seems to actually have been gone behind that little mound now. I can still hear it. Let's listen for a bit. Of course, it's just like these animals too. When I say listen, they go silent. But earlier it was quite very, very interesting. So we had Husana, then a hyena walked past Husana, and that clever boy just ducked. It sounds like there's another hyena approaching. So Husana just ducked, and then a hyena walked straight past him and straight towards Jamie and the wild dogs, for which Husana also just followed as well. Right, they have moved off into the thicket, so I'm going to do the same. I'm actually heading up to the north now to Buffelshoek Dam. We can have a look there. And also, there are a few elephants around, which I'm hoping that we'll have the pleasure of seeing. Oh, I really hope so. Anyway, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, maybe those Ellies will be around, and maybe that Husana cat will get up too.
Hello everybody on the internet in ad break. Here we are with Salt Lick Pride. They don't appear to be doing a great deal. We have repositioned slightly, and we are with me in ad break at the moment, which is great. I hope you're enjoying this show. Just a pity we couldn't get a decent view of all the wildebeest. Okay, we're going to go to Jamie actually now.
Alrighty, Husana's obviously up. He's spotted some impala. I can't see them anymore. They're across in the thickets. This is where things get tricky for us at night to try and follow a leopard hunting. And one most important thing is I'm trying very hard not to follow behind him, but to drive sort of alongside him, because what I don't want is for the animals to look up at the noise of the vehicle and then see him. But you can see the intent and the focus here, so he is hunting. Oh, here we go. We're going to get a leopard crawl of note. You know what's amazing when leopards lie like this? Oh. He's going to miss that. Yeah, he's missed that. Now I'm going to find him again in the dark. Hey, impeccable timing, Your Majesty. Thanks for that. There he is. No, they have an alarm called. Okay, we're going to send you across to Trish for now. I'm going to catch up with Husana.
Welcome back live, everyone. Look at this young bull just thrashing around. Hello, you. We know you're big and strong. How awesome is this? I really wanted to see them. I had some earlier, but in the opposite side of the reserve, and they were quite in the thickets, not really out here. This one's right near the road, and he's picking up all these branches and throwing it about, and then on top of that, he's also got this branch that's on his leg that he keeps kicking and flicking, which is very, very cool. I feel very blessed to be here with the elephant. I haven't seen them on Juma for a long time. There it is. There's that branch. It's bothering you. Elephants can be so entertaining. Honestly, some of the best sightings I've had are with elephants. I've had one really wonderful one where these two youngsters were playing and rolling on top of each other and rolling on the ground, and the other one was trying to kick its sibling, possibly. I just want you to listen. The breaking of the branches as it feeds on this African weeping wattle, which is green at the moment, unlike many of the other plants. Nice and fresh and tasty. Anyway, there are lots and lots of different things about elephants, lots of interesting information, so let's learn a little bit more about them, especially the ones here on Juma.
Perhaps elephants fascinate us so much because they display the social complexity and full emotional range of our own human species. Mothers, sisters, cousins, aunts and calves live in close-knit herds. Cows live in the same herd from birth until the grave some 60 years later. For peace and prosperity, the herd is led by the oldest, wisest female. She is protector, but cantankerous disciplinarian when necessary. With their flappy ears, floppy trunks, and folded skin, baby elephants are some of the cutest animals in nature. Like toddlers, they are playful, curious, and love the mud. Human voices and our funny vehicles provide huge amusement for brave little bulls. But while exploring and playing is a daily priority, Mum's protective embrace is never far away.
We spoke a little bit about scavengers earlier, and there is one of them. A hyena who has found a wildebeest's leg. That hyena is very happy. That wildebeest, not so much. It won't be making the return journey to Tanzania this year. Now, I think that is the remains of the wildebeest that was killed by the Salt Lake Pride earlier this morning. We came out onto the road and found it basically where the kill was. We're going to carry on down the road now. Keep going. See if we get lucky with another view. They are heading straight towards those big herds. We've turned around, we're going back towards them because we just want to see if perhaps there isn't some action happening in amongst the giant herds of wildebeest. My car appears to be about to die, but we'll keep it going for now. It's very good. Alright, while we catch up with what's going on here... Oh, no. Bab, you're wondering if hyenas are dangerous to human beings. Hyenas can be dangerous to human beings, especially if you're in a tent at night and you leave the door open. Then they have the nasty habit of dragging you out by your face, which is not something that you want to experience. But on foot in the day, they're actually pretty harmless to humans. They run away from us. And if you are camping and you leave your tent closed, they're absolutely fine. So when people do get harmed by them, it's normally because they've left their tents open because it's very hot in a lot of these wonderful wildlife areas of Africa. There is our hyena, just you can see its eye walking through the grass. We're going to carry on into the herds, see what we can find. Let's go back to the river where Taylor was last year, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the scavengers.
I'm still here and I'm astounded by how many wildebeest are crossing today. Look at them streaming in down the banks. That water is deep. Their feet are not touching the ground there. Oh no. Now these wildebeest are faced with another challenge. Look at how slippery and steep those rocks are. So even though the initial part of the crossing was fairly easy, this is where it also can get quite tricky. It is so hard for these animals with hooves to grip on the rocks. There's some antelope out there, for instance, like a klipspringer, which is specially adapted to moving around and leaping and bounding off of rocks. However, wildebeest do not have this adaptation, and it is so tough for them.
The Masai Mara is abundant beyond imagining. Numberless creatures thrive there: prey, predator, and scavenger, great and small. Many in the sweeping migration herds will not make the return journey. For the ravenous aerial cleanup crew, the migration is a bountiful feast. While the predators kill some, many die from drowning, illness, injury, and even old age. Thousands of vultures swoop in from the East African skies to devour the carcasses. The enormous leopard-faced dominates, while Rupel's griffins, white-backed, and hooded squabble for the scraps. Jackals and storks also enter the fray. When the unruly banquet is over, the vultures of the Mara will once again take to the endless blue vault of Africa.
Migration is quite a spectacle, and seeing the thousands of the wildebeest crossing the Mara River is pretty special. Well, I do not have thousands of hyenas here, but I have a pretty good number because I have remained all along with the North clan of hyenas. I've been waiting to see if I'm going to see Soup, who is currently the matriarch or the leader of this particular clan, but I have not been able to see her. Now, child of the universe, how are you? And always a joy to hear your name. And you're asking what time of the day are hyenas the loudest? Can you hear that, child of the universe? how lovely. I hope Rachel you are still watching. We're talking about scootering earlier before, and that's just wonderful. Anyway, child of the universe, no doubt about it, in day and night, the hyenas are the loudest at night. Very seldomly or very rarely we hear them call during the day, but at night, anything after 7 o'clock or as soon as darkness sets in, we always hear them calling and laughing. And I'm sure you know this particular species of hyenas you're watching here, that is called the spotted hyena, is also called the laughing hyena, because the times they giggle and they kind of, you might hear them like laughing. That's how they ended up also being called the laughing hyenas. I'm trying to find out where Soup could be. You'd imagine even during the day, it's always difficult to tell males from females. And it's always very nice to see them, playing and running around. But what would happen is, should, for example, Soup come in, who is the current matriarch of this particular clan, you'll see all these hyenas are going to change their body language, and they're going to greet her with a lot of respect. And what I'm saying, because you never know when Soup will come in or where she is, we're going to stay right here. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
Well, we managed to keep up with Husana. He is now... I don't really know what he's doing. He's listening and looking. I don't think that Impala really knew what was going on there, to be honest. It's just... I think he just heard noise running at him and ran instinctively. Cool. I wonder what he's heard. We're in the middle of a network of aardvark burrows, which of course could be occupied by either aardvark, porcupine, or even warthogs. He's definitely looking, he's looking at the ground. He's looking around. I think he's still trying to chance it with that male impala. Sometimes he looks so young. Copy that, Ems. I got you. Just a little bit too soon there, Husana. I wish I could be inside his head, just briefly, just to hear what he's hearing. Can't hear anything. Except an elephant. You can hear an elephant somewhere, not too far away. That's beautiful, Seb. Welcome back to your live safari where we've had elephants, hyenas making lots of noise, suckling lion cubs, and a leopard on the hunt. Husana is on the move looking for food, and while you were away, he actually very nearly caught himself some. He just missed an impala that came running across in front of him, and he even made a mad dash for it ever so briefly. But unfortunately, his youth and exuberance and slightly over-eager nature meant that the impala managed to get away, which is a bit of a pity for Husana because he is looking quite hungry and he does look as though he could do with a meal. But I feel as though I say that about Husana quite regularly these days. Definitely seems as though he is going through a growth spurt. Every time I look at him, and I've seen him quite a bit on foot recently, every time I see him he looks just that little bit bigger and just that little bit more adult. Although he's still retained some of his younger features. There's a network of burrows here, home to aardvarks and warthogs, and I feel a strange sense of deja vu when I say that he might also be looking for one of those tunneling creatures. Now, generally speaking, leopards manage to catch between 1 in 10 to 1 in 12 of the hunts that they initiate are actually successful. There is an animal with a much higher success rate in general, but that's not always the case, and that's the cheetah.
So that gazelle is slowly moving towards her. She's waiting patiently for it to get closer. There we go. It's turned its back to her. She's going flat in the grass. Almost invisible now. The gazelle still hasn't seen her. Gazelle's moving away a little bit though. Almost like instinct is kicking in, knowing that there's something not quite right. We've lost sight of the gazelle. It's gone behind some bushes, but we're just going to stick on where she is. This is very exciting, everyone. Just to be warned. The wind is in her favor, and the gazelle might inadvertently get much closer, which will make it a much easier hunt for her. The Thompson's gazelle's popped out of the side of that bush. She's a little bit further away from the cheetah than she was now. There's the gazelle. There we go. She's on it. Look at that speed. Oh, she's missed. She's given up. That gazelle, the Thompson's gazelle, is one of the quickest animals in the world. And of course, the cheetah is the quickest. But that time, I think the gazelle wandered right onto her, gave her such a fright, she didn't quite know what to do. Wasn't that absolutely riveting? Oh dear, flop down. Well, let's go get a bit closer to her.
We are now in the middle of the herds, and if I'm quiet, you can hear their amazing noises. Now, just to remind you, some 1.2 million of these blighters come running out of the Serengeti, preceded by about 250,000 zebra, and followed by about 250,000 Thompson's gazelle. In fact, even more than 250,000 zebra. All in all, about 2 million animals move in this migration. And the cheetah, as you saw there with Brent, will take advantage, especially of the Thompson's gazelles. Not so much of these guys, because they're a bit big. And even the youngsters that were born in February are now slightly big for a female cheetah. Maybe a big male could take one down, but they won't try very often. Now you can imagine, if you're a lion, this is just like going to the pantry and picking out your favorite food. You can hear where they are, you can smell where they are, they can't see you, you can see them, the grass is long enough for you to hide, and really it's like shooting fish in a barrel, I suppose, or taking food out of the pantry, taking candy from a kid, all those horrible cliches that we use, but that's what it's like for these lions. And then Wildebeest just make a tremendous noise. They make no attempt to hide themselves. Well, how can they? There's just so many of them. Now, we've spent an amazing week actually on the river, enjoying some astonishing sights of thousands of wildebeest crossing the Mara River, and that of course is what Taylor was doing last year as well.
This is absolutely incredible. We watched about 10,000 wildebeest come out of the forest, and now they've moved to this point. I'm not sure what's happened to those two wildebeest. You can't even see anything with all the dust that is being kicked up at the moment. Now, this is a new crossing for all of you who are watching. It is called Miti Moja, which means one tree. And it's particularly deep waters. I've actually never ever seen a crossing here whatsoever. There they all are streaming out on the other side. This is fantastic. I can't believe it. I'm so thrilled to be standing here in the Mara Triangle on the banks of the Mara River, watching crossing after crossing. We have been so fortunate. We have had a couple of quiet days where we haven't really seen much, but after watching this and watching them jump down those banks, it couldn't get any better. I haven't seen too many crocodiles. I don't know if those wildebeest there have either fallen and maybe broken their legs, or perhaps they're being held down by crocodiles. It's very difficult to tell, but you can see everybody else doesn't mind it and are just trying to push on through that very narrow gap. Now, this is of course where it can get quite tricky for the wildebeest. Oh, there's some more that just leaped off a huge cliff.
Crossing the Mara River truly is treacherous, and it's sometimes hard to watch all those wildebeest trying to get through this narrow gap. It's almost like a frenzy, and you know something bad is going to happen. Now, these elephants here, they've had a few family members come and join them now, and they've moved on to a slightly better tree. Not particularly tasty, I must say, though, because now it's a silver cluster leaf, and that's got a lot of tannins in it, so it doesn't feel nice on the tongue. I've eaten one before, or eaten a leaf from it before. It makes your mouth feel very dry. But because of the season we're in, the animals need to get their moisture and their nutrients from somewhere, and they're going to take what they can for now. Imagine it like a little sort of bowl of Skittles, and you eat your favorite flavors first. Well, that's what these guys are doing. They're going to be eating their best possible food first, and then move on to dry grass if they need to. Hopefully they'll be able to move around. Now, elephants don't migrate like up in the Masai Mara, but they have huge home ranges spanning thousands of kilometers squared, and what they will do is they'll move around and they'll find the best water sources, and with it the best vegetation. Oh, we have a bit of a tiff going on here. Either that or it's a little kiss. Wow, it's actually it looked like quite a touching moment. Very lovely. In fact, there's one behind these two that are locking tusks that's throwing dust up into the air too. Ah, that's so wonderful. I'm so happy that in this final episode we've gotten to show you some elephants. Don't fight, guys. Just give each other love. There you go. There you go. Anyway, let me send you up to the Masai Mara with David, and he's still with his lovely hyenas.
Apparently, myself and Trish, we have a commonality in the sense that our most favorite animals, or our most preferred animal, is the elephant, which, you know, Trish just had. Now, what I did earlier, I just repositioned myself, moved backwards a little bit so that we could have a different angle of these cubs of hyenas, and you can see how playful they are. Now, look at them. Some look darker than others. Others are much lighter, simply because they are of different ages. As it is, Soup, the current matriarch, hasn't arrived, and so far it is very, very quiet. But you are remaining here because there's so many things that could happen in the next couple of seconds. Don't go anywhere because you'll be right back.
Right, we're in amongst a herd here that it seems to be panicked by something. We heard an elephant shouting as well, and I can't see what's caused the consternation. I'm going to quickly do a turn. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly turn around. And the elephant would have either got irritated with the wildebeest, or it's got irritated with the predator that's chasing them. Oh, they're running all over the place now. There's something going on here. Can't see what it is. What is that? It's a wildebeest. More wildebeest. I can't see a predator, and you also want to be very careful that you don't spook the herd yourself. But they're coming out of this area to the side. Wildebeest. You just see eyes at the moment. I'm going to just switch off and listen. Here's one that's been separated. There's one just up ahead here that's been separated from its herd. I'm afraid our IR lights are not getting mated. Okay, let's go back across to Trish.
There's some very interesting things going on here. You just had a pile-up of elephants. There were some younger males that decided to all mount each other. And we're back live, everyone. Of course, in our final episode, which is so exciting. And we have all these elephants around. They're walking by our car now. Let's just be a little quiet. Hello, guys. Some of the young males are quite enthusiastic about playing with each other. Oh, there's so many. And all they needed to know was that we are not a threat, and that we are calm and we are good. I think this here is the matriarch. And she is hiding a little treasure. Can you see her little treasure? Hello, tiny thing. Look at that. It's trying to do what Mum was doing, which was digging up sand so it can throw it up on itself. It's failing. Just excuse our aerial on the left there. That cutie. Are you going to be able to suck that up with your trunk and put it on you? I don't think so. Okay, well, they're all kind of moving past us now. A lovely big herd. So let's go back over to Taylor at the migration last year and see how that all concluded.
We have been absolutely so lucky over the past 5 weeks to watch incredible things happening in the Mara Triangle. And of course, this crossing that we have here at Miti Moja, like I said, the lone tree is truly one to be thankful for. It's a grand finale. It's the biggest crossing we've seen so far. About 10,000 wildebeest. It's going to go on for a very, very long time. But even though the migration is only just underway and the herds are really starting to stream in now, remember they were late because of all the rain that we've received. Let's have another look. Look, there's 3 lines going now. That's incredible. But good luck to the future wildebeest crossing the treacherous Mara River. They've come a long way. Look at them swimming their absolute hearts out. What a spectacular end, a grand finale, if you will, to safariLIVE.
The most wonderful experience here. We've had a whole herd of wildebeest come rushing past us. Can't find the predator. We're still going to look. Now, it's been an amazing 13 weeks. I'm so very pleased that the animals have come, or that the wildebeest have made it all the way up here. Let's go and have a look at a highlights package of this fantastic series.
It's been a stunning 13 weeks of live safari here on SABC3. We take a look at the magic that was Season 2. As expected, the royal leopard starred in the Western Kruger. Princess Tlalamba is now independent, and her mother, Queen Thandi, is making space for her. The prodigal son, Husana, returned to play his usual starring role. The old Duke Tingana continues to hold his dukedom and remains supremely tolerant of his clownish son and beautiful daughter. We heard the tragic tales of the Nkuhumas, the bizarre arrival of the mangy Mangeni males, and then the ultimate joy of new Nkuhuma cubs sired by the Avoca males. The Juma clan has swelled. The newest members a hive of curious, playful, and rambunctious activity. Raw nature stretched our emotions. Our endangered painted wolves gave us laughter and horrible tears. Up on the rolling savannas of the Masai Mara, the famous Mara cheetah took advantage of the migration. We delighted at the plethora of cuteness spawned to the 5 mothers of the sausage tree pride. A massive war over resources between the river and Olololo prides killed 2 vulnerable cubs. Finally, we took a look at nature's most inspiring spectacle, the Great Migration. This is safariLIVE.
What a spectacular season it has been, and Husana seems to be trying to finish it off with a bang. The question is whether or not he's going to manage it before the end of this episode. He's probably now around about 30 or so meters away from a sleeping impala. I can't show them to you, they're hidden behind the trees, but they are right there with 1 minute to go before the end of this season finale. And how fitting it is that we should end off with the little chief himself. Whatever the future may hold, we've had the privilege of watching him go from strength to strength, and being a young, sometimes comical and clumsy adolescent male to ever-growing confidence, and the point that he's at now, which is really coming into his own. His shoulders are broadening, ready to take on the responsibility of life. So as Husana heads towards his meal, all that's left for us to do is to say a big thank you to all of you. It wouldn't be the same if we couldn't share this beautiful world with all of you. Thank you, and we will see you next time.